Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Well, perhaps we could begin our synchronous session. Okay, so we are already on week 7. I will just present to you my reminders for the week. Okay, tell me if you can see the screen. If makita niyo yung aking screen, just tell me. Okay, so reminders for everyone, make sure to answer week 7 quiz within the week. No? Answer all previously missed out assessments to avoid piling up of tasks. I hope that is clear for everyone. So now let's proceed. So I will now discuss to you about natural law theory. This is the lesson that we have on week 7. No? So I will discuss the concept first of Stoicism or Stoicism. So ancient Stoics said that the goal of life is living in agreement with nature, equivalent in a virtuous life, equated in happiness. So have you heard the word Stoics sa internet or sa YouTube? Narinig niyo ba yung term na Stoics? Hindi pa. Okay, this is a form of belief, no, that ancient people have during the medieval period. Okay, so Stoicism can be epitomized by 3 essential beliefs. First is that virtue is sufficient for happiness. Number 2 is that other so-called goods should be regarded with indifference. And the third one, that the world is providently ordered by God. So, the philosophy holds that becoming a clear and unbiased thinker allows one to understand the universal reason of existence. So this concept teaches us that development of self-control and fortitude is important, which is the means in overcoming destructive emotions. So it was actually Zeno of Citium who was founded the school of thought, no, for this concept of Stoicism. So human beings now have within them that divine spark that enables them to discover the essential eternal laws that govern the whole cosmos. These are necessary in the attainment of the individual happiness and social harmony. Okay, so the important concept in this concept is yun nga yung beliefs of the virtue and following these virtues. Okay, so according also to this concept, Stoicism, good are the following: wisdom, moderation, justice, courage, and other virtues. While evil or yung bad are the following. We have folly, intemperance, injustice, and cowardice. So yun yung concept ng Stoicism. In my own understanding of it, it's living in accordance with nature. Okay, it's the goal of life is simply with agreement of nature, no, which is to live a virtuous life, and living a virtuous life is equivalent to what? To happiness, no? That is the equivalence of a virtuous life. Okay, let's move on to the natural law theory. So this law is one important and relevant principles and laws under ethics. No, it is also known as Thomistic ethics because it came from the concept and the study of Saint Thomas Aquinas, which he tries to imply that moral law is done through reason and direct us towards the good. Again, moral law through reason, which direct us towards the good. And the ultimate goal of the person is through the person's nature. No? It is discoverable within the person's nature. Which is yun nga, yung ultimate goal niya is to live the moral law. What is the moral law, sir? The moral law is through living the following principles. I will discuss that later on. No? Ito yung mga principles na kailangang tignan, no? I will discuss that later. But before that, let us try to understand what is an act. What is doing good and avoiding evil means, no? Since it is the threefold natural inclination of the human person. So, like what I discussed to you before class, no, there are 3 determinants of the human act. First is the object of the human act, no? This is the thing of action, wherein the action directs to. For example, ano ba yung involved na object or tao in doing this? Like, for example, in killing or in trying to abort someone, ano ba yung involved? Is it the mother? Diba? The mother and yung unborn fetus, no? The second one is the circumstance. Now, this is the condition that affects the morality of the action. For example, it is bad to rape a woman, but worse to rape a daughter. Another example, it is good to pray for the sick, but it is better to give money for her medication. You can see the point here, di ba? Yung circumstance class, di ba yung particular scenario na nangyari. We can try to assess a better, a good, a evil, a worst outcome, no? Because of that aspect of determining a human act. Another is the end. This is the purpose of the doer. This is integral part of the moral act. Like for example, marrying a rich person is a good action by itself. But doing so, if motivated by wanting to gain an inheritance, makes the action morally wrong. So you can see the point here. The end goal of the person is to marry just to gain money or inheritance. So that makes the action considerably immoral. The end. Okay? Again, these three aspects are important in considering an action to be moral or not. The object of the human act, the circumstance, and the end. Okay, so let's go back to the natural law theory. So again, it refers to the general view that moral principles and rules are objective and universal truths can be discovered in the nature of things. Through by exploring and discovering it in the nature of things, now we can understand better what is a moral law, no? What makes an action good or bad through going in nature itself. We look into nature, no? So this requires us to go with nature and see nature of life itself as equated to law and reason. No? By seeing what is the natural order of the cosmos, we try to really depict what's a good, what's a moral decision, what's a moral action. So again, there are immutable laws that exhibited rationality. No? There is immutable laws within us in the universe, no? That makes an action moral by following and going on it. Everything has its own purpose or end, no? This is a reason for its own being. Like for example, no, the seed, no, or yung acorn will become an oak tree. Yun yung natural order ng mga bagay-bagay. Another one, a woman becomes a mother. Okay, no, that's what they call the natural order of things. A boy becomes a man. Okay, kaya nga minsan yung mga thoughts na a boy becomes a transgender, it's according on this law is not moral because the purpose or the way or yung natural law or order is a boy becomes a man. Okay, so we cannot change the way things are. This is in accordance with fatalism. First appear among Stoics on the 1st century BC. No, there are a lot of concepts, a lot of ideas that really revolve in the natural law theory. We also have Aristotle, we also have Thomas Aquinas, and the Stoics. Okay, so the early Stoics believed that human beings have with them yung divine spark daw. Yun yung rationality that makes us distinct from other individuals. I mean, from other beings like animals. No, cats and dogs cannot think or cannot rationalize or hindi sila makapag-isip like what man can do. No? And living the life, no, yun yung talaga yung purpose of being a man, no, is to live like that, to practice his intelligence, his rationality, his intelligence. Okay, so yun yung whole idea ng Stoics. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, now let's proceed to bakit nawala ako? Okay, let's wait lang ha. Okay, dumako na tayo sa next slide. So, dito naman class, I will discuss to you yung concept ni Aristotle sa natural law. So sabi ni Aristotle class, No, he is considered to be the greatest of all philosophers, somehow following essentially the Stoics' view in the natural law. Okay, particularly the way of thinking of men. No, a best example of this is yung sa inanimate objects like yung acorn. The purpose of it is to become an oak tree, like what I mentioned. The whole process of how a thing develops from potentiality to actuality is possible because of the thing's very nature. Also for beings, a boy becomes a man, a woman becomes a mother, no? So for Aristotle, the very action or function humans do that makes them better to any other beings or creatures is what makes man truly human. This is the capacity to think, rationality, and intelligence. Okay, so we must not allow our lower faculties to dominate our decisions and actions. To be human is to be reasonable in our conduct. So that is the way how we should live our life, no? To live with this, to how we can become human beings is to practice our capacity to think, rationalize, and intellect. I hope that is clear for all. Okay, according also to him, to Aristotle, everything that exists in nature serves some particular and specific purpose, and that can never fully understand a thing until we understand what is the purpose of it. So going back again, everything is built into its nature. What is the order of the thing? Ano yung processes involved, no, that makes it coming from potentiality and going to its actuality. Every individual substance has an intrinsic nature or principles of operation dynamic, teleological, this means future, and specific. No, the purpose of any fully developed entity is to be itself, going back always to nature. No, for us humans, self-actualization or self-realization is the very reason or purpose of anything. So, di ba, alam naman natin dun sa theory ni Maslow, yung pinakamataas sa hierarchy of needs is self-actualization. And ito yung reason why we are existing as human beings, to self-actualize, no? So in this part or in this concept of self-actualization, we already know our strengths, our weaknesses. We've already determined our existence, no, as human beings, what we can do in this world. Okay. Okay, the essence of the thing is an activity, something that the thing does. So it's like the function of everything or every being. For example, the essence of the heart is to pump blood. So yun yung kailangan mangyari. It always should follow, no? Na kailangan ganun yung function niya. Kasi by nature, yun yung function niya. Same also with us, human beings. Our function is to grow and reproduce and to have those sensual perceptions since we have senses, di ba? So also, to be good therefore is to be reasonable. To be reasonable is to live in accordance with nature, which is our rationality. To be moral is to exercise our capacity to reason or our ability to deliberate on things we ought to do. Okay, so I hope you will remember this one. To be reasonable is to be in accordance with nature, and to be moral is to exercise our capacity to reason out. No? So that is our faculty, no? Our mental faculty of rationality, intellect. We should live by that. So these are the basic and universal human inclination according to Thomas Aquinas. So I will explain this one by one. So for a person to live a moral law or to go abide with a moral law, these four should be present to be considerable that these actions are moral and not immoral. First is self-preservation and survival. This is by the means of to preserve ourselves in existence. This means na if ever man na there is someone who wants to hurt us, okay, there is what they call as yung theory of forfeiture. Okay, I will discuss that later on. Okay, it is a law wherein it will forfeit the innocence of the person who wants to kill us. Hence, even though we can kill the person who wants to kill us, or who wants to murder us, it is still considered to be to be moral, because the purpose why we done such a thing is to preserve our life, our existence. Since because of that, because of our self-defense, no, it's not immoral to kill a person. Okay? What's the difference between killing and murder in terms of legal matters? What's the difference between killing and murder? Okay, I will discuss it later since walang sumagot. Okay, sige lang. So, again, self-preservation and survival, no? Preserve ourselves, our existence. Number two, basic and universal human inclination is the propagation of species. So, since our nature as human beings is to reproduce and to generate more offspring, no? That's one of our inclination. Hence, yung abortion is considered to be immoral because it will not support this inclination of propagating our species. No? So again, to produce offspring for the continuance of the generation. Third one, propagation of to live in peace and harmony with other men. So this refers to the fair dealings we have with our neighbors, no? This is to live in peace and harmony with other men. No? So again, it's more of how we deal with our relationships with other people. Okay? There should be goodness in it, no? Number four, to seek truth and knowledge of the good. This refers to our intellect, no? This is to seek for truth and knowledge of the good and to use our intellect to seek for the good, including the highest good, which is eternal happiness with God. So again, we have this rationality, we have this intellect, we have this higher faculty thinking because the reason is to seek for goodness, for the highest good, and not for evilness or not for the bad. Okay? Those are the human inclinations, according to Thomas Aquinas. Okay, let's move forward on the central ideas that rotates on the natural law theory. Number one, everything in this world has its own reason and purpose. True. Number two, this reason and purpose is true, especially to human beings. Three, human nature has an essential rational nature. Four, morality is governed by a law built into nature of man, as law of man, as laws of nature also govern natural things. So again, morality is governed by a law that is built from nature and into nature of men, as laws of nature also govern natural things. 5. Man can know through the use of his reason what is in according with its own nature, which is good and which is bad. So through the mental faculties given to him by the Almighty, no, he can determine and assess what is good action from bad action. 6. Natural laws are universal and unchangeable, immutable, and are the basis of judgment for other individual cultures and societies with regard to their norms and practices. So it's not inclined or not directive with ethical relativism wherein culture or moral principles are relative to culture, no? In natural law, there is universal truths, moral truths, and moral laws that all people should abide into regardless of culture, social demographic status, gender, and so on and so forth. Number 7, moral laws which are based on the natural laws have objective validity. Yes, it is objectively valid, not subjectively valid. And the last one, the first self-evident precept of the natural law is to do good and avoid evil. Okay, that is the first precept of the natural law. Do good and avoid evil. How can we do good? We obey the natural law. Ano ba yung natural law na yun, sir? How can we follow that? Through the basic and universal nature, natural human inclination stated by Thomas Aquinas. Itong apat na to, class. Ito yung kailangang ma-follow ng tao. These 4 universal human inclinations. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, let's skip this one. Okay, now let's proceed to specific ethical principles under natural law. Di ba na-mention ko sa inyo kanina yung principle of forfeiture class, which it can defend why we have killed someone because of self-defense, and this action is not immoral if we preserve our life, no, through the means of killing someone just to defend ourselves. No, it can defend the act of killing a person. Killing and murder are two different words, no? Legally, class, when we say killing, it is taking the life of a non-innocent person. Okay? While murder is the act of depriving an innocent person his life. Again, killing is taking the life of a non-innocent person, while murder is the act of depriving an innocent person his life. I hope you can somehow distinguish the difference between the two. Okay, now let's proceed to the first principle that I'm going to discuss. These are all under the natural law theory. The principle of double effect. So, this is when the action intended must be good or neutral. No, again, good effect must outweigh the evil effect, or at least proportional. Evil effect should be a side effect only. Evil effect must not be the means for the good effect to achieve. So, there are also abiding principles that should be present or conditions, no? Like for example, class, no? The intention is good. Ang double effect, class, to explain it specifically, kapag yung specific action ng isang person may consequence siya, good and evil. Like for example, pregnant woman, gusto mong i-treat yung pregnant woman because she suffered from cancer, no? And upon treating that pregnant woman, mamamatay yung unborn fetus. So, sa ganong klaseng moral decision, class, dalawa yung cause niya, good and evil. The good one is you will treat the person, and the bad one is the unborn fetus will die upon the process of your treatment. Okay? So the principle of double effect will weigh in if the action of considering this kind of treatment should be followed or should be considered, no? So again, these are the conditions that should be met. First is the intention is good. Okay? So action intended must be good in itself, or at least morally indifferent. Otherwise, the act is evil at the very outset. Number 2, good and evil effects occur simultaneously. So kailangan after ng good effect or after ng evil effect, kailangan yung good effect should follow agad-agad. No? The good effect must follow the action, or at least as immediately as the evil effect, or the good and evil effect must occur simultaneously. Kailangan magkasabay sila. No, it should not prolong of this good effect to follow. Next is third one. The unforeseen evil effect should not be intended or approved but merely permitted to occur. So this is very applicable on cases like abortion, no? So again, the foreseen evil effect should not be intended or approved as much as possible. Hindi mo intended or hindi talaga iniisip mo talaga na mamamatay yung bata. Upon treating this pregnant woman from cancer, you are not trying to predominantly kill the innocent child or that unborn fetus. Okay? So again, it should not be intentional na gusto mong patayin yung bata na nasa pupunan ng kanyang ina. Okay? It is only by the reason of treating the person from cancer. Number 4, there must be a proportionate and sufficient reason for allowing the evil effect to occur while performing the action. Again, proficient reason or sufficient reason for allowing the evil effect. So kapag na-try mo na lahat-lahat ng bagay and all of the causes, lahat na measure in mo na, and wala na talagang ibang walang procedures or measures na pwede mong gawin just to prevent that evil effect from acting or from happening, then therefore it can be, this kind of action can considered to be moral. Gets niyo yung term or yung concept, class? Kapag na-try mo na lahat ng measure, you are trying to really to prevent, no, this evil action to really occur. Pero talagang hindi talaga siya maiiwasan. Na-try mo na lahat ng mga possible procedures, but this will really occur. There will be a possibility that this will really occur. Then, the action of this kind of treatment can be considered to be moral still. Okay. Next is this condition should be considered for an action to be moral or to be considered as morally right. I know the double effect can be complicated, but again, the good effect must outweigh the evil effect. That's the essence of this. Okay, kailangan mas mababaw, ay mas mataas yung effect ng good kaysa sa bad. Okay, yun yung gusto kong sabihin sa inyo. Okay, let's move on to the principle of inviolability of life. Life is inviolable. So this springs from the religious belief that human life is of infinite value as it is sacred and precious gift from the Creator. So again, class, no, human life from the moment of conception and through the subsequent stages in the pregnancy of a person is sacred because human life is created in the image and likeness of God. So again, we can always go back on that divine truth that demands us to protect and preserve any living entity, born or unborn. Hence, any form of human life can never be sacrificed by any reasons or causes. Okay? This is in accordance, or this is going on the issue of abortion and euthanasia. Okay, abortion. Since class, all life is sacred, all life is infinite in value, then therefore no one has that right to take away life in accordance with the natural law. In the euthanasia naman, since infinite talaga yung life, no one also has that right, even doctors don't have that right to take away the life of that living person. It's only God or the Almighty who has that right to take away life, not any person. Okay, that is the principle of inviolability of life. Second one, principle of forfeiture. By the way, class, these are all under the natural law theory, ha? Itong mga principle of double effect, principle of inviolability of life, and so on. Third one, principle of forfeiture. This says that it is morally permissible to defend yourself even though to the point of taking another life. It's not murder, though the act of killing is involved. Diba? I mentioned the difference between killing and murder, no? And again, the person has already forfeited his life of innocence the moment he tries to kill someone or a person. That is under the principle of forfeiture. Hence, your act of killing that person is morally justified because it goes with the moral law or the human inclination of self-preservation. You get the point, class? Okay, next is principle of totality. Okay, this is the view that the part of the human body exists for the good of the whole. No, this is in correspondence with the different bioethical issues. Like, for example, a particular organ that needs to be cut or needs to be mutilated, yung kailangan putulin yung kanyang paa, tanggalin yung kanyang mata, no? There is an issue in this, no? Should consider ba talaga na may karapatan ba talagang tanggalin yung any part na ginawa ng Diyos na natural order sa mga tao? Do they have this justified moral cause of doing this act? Yun lang yung mga tanong natin minsan, no? But again, under the principle of this, of totality, if this will preserve the general well-being or yung kabuuan ng isang tao for him to continue living, then therefore it is morally justified. If this will only preserve the general well-being and if it will be maintained, if hindi siya tanggalin, the person will suffer and mas kakalat yung sakit or yung cancerous, yung cancerous na mga tumor or kung ano man. Hence, it can be justified na putulin, immutulate at tanggalin yung mga parte ng katawan ng tao na to if this will cause burden in his well-being, generally speaking. No? So again, the preservation of the whole is more important than the conservation of the part. That this is the main point of this principle. Again, the preservation of the whole is more important than the conservation of the part. Next one, the last one is we have principle of stewardship. Okay, under this principle, no, the human person has no ownership of his or her body or anything in the world, in this world we have, in this physical world we have. So this will go with, it is wrong to commit suicide and euthanasia since stewardship entails proper protection and responsible care of what the Almighty has given us. It is only God who has that dominion over life and our bodies. Okay? So all life comes from God, yes, from the Almighty, and no individual could claim this from the owner, which is God the Almighty. Since we don't own our bodies, no, hindi sa atin ito. Itong katawan natin, human are only given the power to take care of it since we are stewards, no? So this counteracts again with euthanasia and suicide. No one has that right to take away anything, life. Okay. Those are the principles under natural law. Do you have questions before I proceed to the next part? Do you have any clarifications or baka meron kayong hindi masyado na gets? I will explain it further. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's. Okay, there's a question, I believe. Francis Glenn. None so far. Okay. Okay, let's proceed, no? Let's proceed to the next concept that I'm going to discuss to you, and that is just war theory. Okay, this theory is relevant, especially on the ongoing crisis of Ukraine and of Russia. I want you to learn more about this. Please listen with me, because I know you can learn something from this discussion. Okay, relevant and principle and application of the principle of forfeiture. Again, this is relevant principle and application on the principle of forfeiture. Same also with the human body. Countries also has this right. The moment that country has tried to devastate or cause pain, tyranny, or cause any distress on a certain nation, then the act of revolting or the act of defending the country is also rightful and morally justified as well. The moment na sinalakay na tayo ng ibang bansa, okay, and they already caused harm to us, we could morally justify our revolt, our defense against them. But there are also conditions, no, that we needed to understand as well in this theory. Again, a defensive kind of war siya. If the country is threatened by another country, it can decide to go war against it even though it involves killing. The act is morally justified. Okay? So the moment they go war, no, and they already caused distress, pain, tyranny, and suffering, the act of revolting can be justified already. This is only applicable for protection, not by the means of salakayin sila. Okay? Yun yung just war theory. To protect ourselves, no, our country, the goodness of the people inside the country, not just to devastate also them. Okay? Yun yung point ng just war theory. Only for protection. Okay, here are the conditions. Okay, must come from lawful authority. So this means that whenever self-defense should come from someone, no, who is in authority or power, no, not just from one person, but it should came from a lawful authority. Okay, so next one is just a cause. So kapag na-try mo na lahat ng mga possible ways how to make amends with this particular country at hindi pa rin nag-work, then just cause is the condition that will be approved already. It means na ito na talaga yung pinaka way wherein we could protect the innocent from harm. It also goes with last resort, no? So again, it should not be the primary option. Na-try mo na dapat lahat-lahat before ka mag-go into war with this country. Or before you try to defend your country or through the means of combat and armed. No? So there should be last resort. You have already make amends, and kapag lahat na yon, lahat ng options na yon, nasubukan mo na pero hindi pa rin nag-work, then the just war can be justified. Okay? Next is good intention. there should be a good intention that is being involved here. For example, no, the good intention is for you to protect your people, for you to protect your nation. Okay, that is the good intention. No, it has an element of good faith as well. Okay, next is reasonable chance of success. So it means that there should be a chance of attaining its objectives and the right use of means. So ibig sabihin, class, no, kailangan yung gamit natin, no, hindi dapat ginagamit yung mga nuclear, yung mga mass weapons of mass destructions like for example, mga bomba, no, nuclear weapons, those kinds of things that will create mass destruction. It should not be used, okay, for it to be justified. Okay, so again, one should employ ordinary means of combat in opposition to weapons of mass destruction like nuclear bombs, chemical or biological warfare. Okay, so yun yung sa just war theory. Ngayon naman, class, I will discuss to you the justified rebellion or justified revolution. So ito naman, class, kapag there is already unlawful uprising of tyranny present in a particular place or country, then their rebellion can be justified, okay, or their revolution. But there are also conditions that should be implied as well in accordance with the natural law to approve this action, no? So I will mention them now. First is when there is a clear and manifested long tyranny and oppression of the basic and fundamental rights and dignity of the citizens that have been already trampled on. Okay, yun yung pinakauna. Kapag masobrang haba na ng suffering ng mga tao and oppression nila. Number two, when all peaceful and legal means to resolve the conflict had already been resorted and exhausted. Kapag na-try mo na lahat ng mga options, how to resolve this without going into rebellion. Three, when there is a reasonable probability that the revolt will be a success, since there will be collateral damage also involved here, class, in revolts like this and also sa mga war, there should be a chance na kailangan itong klaseng action natin magkakaroon ito ng, or we could attain the goals and the objectives, which is the peace, no? Or yung kalayaan or freedom. We should attain this one. There should be a chance, no? A higher chance that our goal should be reached or it should be achieved, no? Next is when the goal to be achieved is well proportionate or the same weight to the damage that would be inflicted. Again, it should not be mas mataas yung damage compared sa goals natin or compared dun sa benefit, no? Kailangan mas mataas pa rin or well proportionate lang yung damage sa benefit ng gagawin nating action, ng war na to or ng rebellion na to. Most ideally, kailangan mas mataas dapat yung magiging benefit or cost nito sa atin. Hindi dapat mas mataas yung harm nito sa atin. Next is the last one. The decision to wage a violent revolt against the government should come from the majority and not just from a few private individuals. So there should be a right of suffrage, no, from people as well. Kapag majority na talaga, gusto na talaga mag-wage ng war because it's a suffering. Everyone is suffering and we want freedom. So it should not come only from one person or from selected individuals. It should be from the people, from the majority of the individuals that they want to wage this action to achieve peace, to achieve freedom, and going with the other conditions as what I stated. So again, class, just war theory and justified rebellion, these are two things, no? Essentially, we also needed to clarify some conditions, either it is morally justified or not. Again, these are only just in accordance with the natural law theory. Hindi pa dito sakop yung theory ng utilitarianism and ng deontological theory. We will discuss that in our third module. Okay? Yung mga theories na yun. Okay, do you have questions? Do you have some questions, class? Before I move with our debate. Do you have anything you wanted to point out or you wanted to say? Perhaps you want to share something, no? Since this is a fruitful discourse, I want us to really be engaged in these issues because we are experiencing this even up until this time, no? May tanong ba kayo? Or hindi masyado clear sa inyo? Pwede ko siyang balikan. Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, should we have a debate? Can I have a thumbs up if gusto niyo ng debate ngayon? Do you want a debate, class? Can I know from you, class, please? I want to hear from you if you want a debate or not. Because we're focusing more into natural law, no? Isa sa mga bagay ng issue rin sa natural law na gusto ko rin maintindihan din ninyo. Okay lang ba, class, na mag-debate tayo? I think okay naman. So class, I will be asking you about transgenderism. Okay, I want to specify this issue that we have in the society, no? In conversion therapy. Okay, can we discuss that? I will go into the slide muna. So, transgenderism. Okay, the issue is about male, no, not conforming into their original sex at birth. What's your say about this, class? Do you consider it as immoral or moral? Wants to say their piece about this. No, there's no wrong answers here. Do you consider it as a moral issue or a moral ba siya or immoral? What do you think of it, class? Just your own thoughts about transgenderism. Kasi 'di ba, parang may mga tao na nagsasabi na it's it's a mental illness daw, it's a disorder. Anong thoughts niyo about this? Immoral ba? Especially yung issue in using the restroom, 'di ba? When a transgender uses the restroom that she or he prefers to use. Ano yung say niyo about that? May thoughts ba kayo about this, Mr. Garrido? Meron ka bang thoughts about this one?
Hello po, sir. As for this one, because of course out in a very conservative society like this one's all around in Asia, perhaps this might be a little bit controversial, no? Pero I guess naman, I think just like other human beings, like because there are also human beings as well. So it is for them. They also deserve a kind of. They also respect as well, and also there are a lot of choices why they wanted to become. But I know how costly it is. For instance, let's say for instance, mag-change to yung specific organs into specific hormones, and then you know kind of um inject something or transplant something like a new particular organ or something
Sexual reassignment surgery.
yes, yes, and there will be a lot of certain risks that we need to assess, no? The very first one is yung compatibility in terms of blood flow, because once yung blood flow, kung hindi siya compatible with your type of blood, and of course yung mga antigens ng both bloods and also the donor, kung hindi siya compatible, is mag-fight. So that will cause a lot of problems with the blood, no, in terms of circulation. And but in this case, no, I think it's no sensitizing matter as society already progresses, no, and we should pragmatically adjust to these kinds of situations, not knowing that uh, there are some opportunities. I mean, I mean, there will be a great opportunity for all of us, including our beloved, including our those who already become transgenders. In fact, so I think it's a matter of agreement and dialogue that maybe a little also worthy of respect as well, sir. That's all I
Okay.
can say.
Okay, fine thoughts. I acknowledge your thoughts about this matter. You know, this is quite an issue that some people are really dealing with right now. Especially yung concept of soji because yun nga, hindi lahat kasi maka-accept nun. Okay, so just to take note of it, no, gusto ko lang kasi yung i-mention din sa inyo para meron din kayong matutunan since I am a psych major. No? I have already finished my master's degree in psychology. So actually class, transgenderism is not considerably or automatically considered to be a mental illness. Okay, it was changed na siya sa DSM-5 wherein it is gender nonconformity is not itself a mental illness. It is not already stated yung gender dysphoria. No? It will only become a disorder if there is a significant distress or impairment that occurs in his social, occupational, and other areas of functioning ng person na to. So not automatically class, we can associate gender dysphoria or transgenderism into an illness. Okay, it should be, there are conditions or there should be symptoms like this one, significant distress, dysfunction, no, deviance. He is not comfortable with himself, no, which affects his functioning. It should always be imperatively, kailangan, a person who is in this condition or who is considered to be transgender, may impairment sa kanyang functioning niya sa everyday life niya. Okay? So again, this is not right now, no? Unti-unti nang na-accept ng mundo, no? Ang concept ng transgenderism. Okay, how about this one class, conversion therapy? I know you've heard about this one. Conversion therapy is a pseudo-scientific practice of attempting to change an individual's sexual orientation from homosexual or bisexual to heterosexual. So, in my study, I have seen a lot of videos and practices and methods on how they will do this. For example, they are trying to expose a patient, no, into pornography na heterosexual yung mga tao or who is involved on that pornography, or also a woman is trying to seduce that homosexual person. What's your thought about conversion therapy? Do you find it ethical or unethical in response to the human life? Since this practice is, I believe, is happening not all parts in the Philippines, but some parts of the country and outside the country. Email. Let me read your comments, huh? I think it's ethical if and if only there is consent from the person. Yeah, okay. Thank you for your answer, Kit. Okay. What else? What can you say about conversion therapy? This is a good point, ha? If there is consent with the person, and it's like a counseling session din kasi class, it also have risk, no? That will involve in the entire process. Okay, again, I want to state the risk, no? I'm not saying that this is not effective or this measure should not be practiced anymore, but again, there are risks that can happen in the person, especially trauma. Okay, trauma is a difficult one to really treat, no? It's an illness that it really take a long time for a person to be treated from trauma. What if the measure that the person has experienced is considered to be inhumane, no? Or hindi siya comfortable. There's coercion that is being involved already, or sexual abuse or physical abuse, no? Those can be possibilities of illnesses that can happen mentally on the person, psychologically. So, yun lang yung gusto kong i-state, no, about conversion therapy. Okay, next issue. let's discuss about trans people, the use of restroom. Since you have heard in the news, like from the transgender Gretchen, I forgot the last name, no? She is being banned from the bar because parang ano kasi gumamit siya ng restroom or pumasok siya. The first issue kasi yung pagpasok sa isang bar and considered daw siya as cross-dresser, no? At saka yung another issue is the use of public restroom because they want to use the restroom that conforms on their gender. What can you say about these issues, class? About trans people conforming on the societal routes, like using of restroom, going to bars, dressing like a woman, dressing like a man. What's your say about this one? Francis, do you have thoughts about this one? Jude, how about you, Jude? Do you have some thoughts about this one? The thing kasi sir, if they wanted to project their belief sa others and not to everyone conforms to this belief. Okay, can you specify this even more? If they want to project their beliefs sa others and not everyone conforms to their belief. Are you saying or are you nakapag belief sa kanilang mga sarili? Tama ba yun? Hindi ko masyado mag-get yung point. Okay. Okay, so para bang they need to respect the beliefs of others even though they not accept what they believe in, which is yun nga, yung transgender sila, they are woman, no? Is that right? I think that is the point, no? Okay. How about sa inyo? John, yeah. Mr. Garrido, can you say your piece about this?
I think it's no, cause it's like may mag-assign ng male and female. I think it's I know that of course, as I said, it's a very conservative society, but sometimes if you take a look biologically, no, as human beings, we have some things in common between all human beings, especially when it comes to use of the restroom. For instance, if you wanted to urinate, we still have a common organ which is common to both to actually all of human beings, which is a urethra, which is the path on which we, in this specific case of using the restroom, is used for urination and the expulsion of waste, and as well as a rectum and some intestines that are actually used for excrement of different stuff. I think it's actually kind of a little bit vague because considering biologically that we actually have that the urethra and the rectum and the anus as the most common parts as a whole for usage of the restroom. I think it's kind of a little bit vague to be honest, sir. That is all I know. That is all I know for.
Okay, I can see, no, the point, no, and I know not everyone can really understand the issue even more or better. We have our different viewpoints and different standpoints into this matter. Okay, sabi ni Shara, for me it's ethical since it's a right to relieve oneself where they feel safe and comfortable. However, not all sees things like that. And in a conservative society, that kind of thing is seen as obscene. Okay, I also accept this thought of yours, no? Yun nga lang talaga yung pinaglalaban din kasi talaga nila. Kasi for example, kapag nakakita ka ng transgender na nasa male restroom, do you feel comfortable with it? Yun lang din yung mga question ko lang din. Minsan, personally, no? Kasi pag hindi comfortable yung mga lalaki, most of them, majority naman, I'm not sure, no? If they're not comfortable, then bakit kailangan mag-CR sila sa male bathroom if they could go in the female washroom, no? Where they feel that they are safe. I'm not saying that this is acceptable thought for all, no? This is just my own opinion. I believe it's more of giving them that kind of feeling of safety. If they feel that men are not comfortable seeing them in the restroom, then they are not also feeling comfortable as well. Yun yung thought din, no? I have also transgender friends and they also feel the same way. No, they just wanted to eliminate their waste. Yun yung naman talaga yung kanilang gusto nila, no? Kasi yung thought din kasi ng iba, baka kasi manilip sila or they will do something that is inhumanistic or hindi maganda, no? Yun kasi yung thought din ng mga iba, kaya hindi pa nila ma-accept yung thought na to. Okay? Pero yun lang din yung point ko, no? Psychologically, they feel distressed kapag nasa male washroom sila, seeing na naka-female dress talaga, like shorts and alam niyo yung parang naka-cut yung dress, yung parang naka short shorts, tapos pang girl yun, no? Kanang girl gid kayo ang ihang sanina, then nasa male washroom. They also not feel comfortable with it. That's why they wanted to go in the restroom where they feel na dito gid sila. No? That's just my thing, no? I respect your thoughts. Honestly, class. Okay, sabi ni Keith, agree, while I respect their being transgender, we can't also disregard what those who are in the restroom feel. Yeah, this is actually true. That not everyone is open towards these kinds of things and not everyone accepts the soji, to be honest. Still, many people considered transgenderism as a disorder and an illness pa. I hope people can not be ignorant in this matter and they see that our world is changing and so as we as human beings. Okay, so it's already 4. Do you have any questions? Anything you wanted to share and discuss pa or just to add in? Mga thoughts pa ninyo? Do you have anything you wanted to share or ask ninyo na questions in regards with our course and with the lessons? Okay, going once, going twice. Okay, wala naman siguro. Thank you so much, class, for being with me today. No, I really appreciate your time. I hope I can see you again next week. We're going to discuss next week about ethical relativism, and I'm going to show you a video. No, it's female mutilation. No, I'm going to show you how harsh it is that happened to some women in Africa. Okay, class, thank you so much. Have a wonderful afternoon. Stay safe, stay sane, and stay productive. See you soon, and goodbye.
Thank you so much po, sir.